This is NFA Talk, the show that talks about guns and gun rights, keeping you up to date with what's currently going on, from the newest guns, promotions, and events, plus how we're lobbying for your rights.
Hi, I'm Jordan Vandenhoff. Joining me tonight, I have Rick Iggersage and Blair Hagan, and this is NFA Talk. So we're coming to you because of the big news today. If you haven't seen it, because it's been all over the internet, it's been all over our social media. The Liberals have done it again. They have put an attack against legal, responsible firearms owners by now banning handguns and handgun transfers and sales in Canada. Hey Rick, hey Blair, how you guys doing?
Good, Jordan. How are you doing?
Well, I'd like to be better, but unfortunately, another day. You know, here we go.
How am I doing? Well, I'm a little angry. It's not that I wasn't expecting this; I just wasn't expecting it today. But it's another direct attack on Canadian firearms owners, and it's just another step in their ploy to get rid of firearms in Canada.
You guys should be used to being under attack by now.
Yeah.
I think everybody has to realize that this is just another very, very bad political move by a government that is in the throes of chaos. They are failing Canadians. They have certainly lost their way in Parliament if they ever had a pathway to what they wanted to do. They need to take the emphasis off their many failures in issues like the economy, in issues like freedom, generally speaking. I mean, we've got the Nova Scotia Mass Casualty Commission going on right now. We have hearings on the Ottawa Freedom Convoy, and this government looks very, very bad. So what do you do to try and deflect criticism? This is what you do. We knew it was coming. It's here today, and I think we should talk about the path forward.
Absolutely. Yep. So Blair, I just want to touch on that. You said, we should be used to it. Actually, yep. I am. So I have a little tradition. Every time the Liberals start spouting off with gun control, or they're going to do this, or they're thinking about doing that, I usually spend the evening relaxing at the gun range and shooting holes through paper. Instead, tonight I'm with you guys and with the audience, and I'm going to vent to you guys tonight, right? So. I'm breaking tradition, but I think we really need to discuss this and let our members know that, hey, don't give up. Let's talk. There is a path forward to this.
Yeah, and I'm like you, Jordan. I usually go out and buy another firearm, but now I can't buy a handgun. That's all done. So here we are tonight. We need to talk on our path forward. This bill is far from clear. We know that as of midnight last night, the Canadian Firearms Program will not be doing any more transfers. We know that basically what you have is what you're stuck with until you pass away, and then it will be seized by the government. So what are we going to do? Well,
that's the Liberal plan.
Yeah.
Should it come to fruition, that would be the case. But don't forget, this is a very old and very unpopular and very corrupt government. Okay, so can they reach that in the short time they have left in power? Well, obviously not. There will be some people affected by this very negatively, and especially people involved in estates. And I know here in NFA we deal with that a lot. We assist people with estates trying to explain the laws regarding the transfers of firearms. It's different now, and yes, people are going to be losing property. Heirs are going to be losing property in the short term. But we do have a path forward. We have a political path forward, and I guess we'll talk about that later. And we also have a legal path forward. Exactly. And I know we've been having those discussions very, very often today about how we are going to move legally. And I can assure everybody watching tonight that in the short term, NFA will have a legal response to this while we continue to work on the political pathway forward.
Yeah, I just want to add to that as far as our legal response. We're not we definitely are in the process. We're not gonna let the cat out of the bag just yet. We don't want to give the Liberals any more than they have right now. But yeah, we're moving in a couple different directions right now, and we're gonna pool whatever NFA resources we have to fight this. We're not gonna go down without a fight. This is just completely ludicrous. This next step in Justin Trudeau's plan to ban all firearms in Canada. And that's another thing I want to comment on also. First he did the order in council, now he did the handguns. What's next? Semi-automatic shotguns? Believe me, there will be something next. I'm not sure what it's going to be, but they're on a path to ban all firearms. So I'm thinking probably some sort of semi-automatic ban next, which is going to probably include everything from 22s to shotguns. I don't know, but just for the people out there, you need to know that they're not just going to stop at a handgun freeze.
I don't think.
Yeah, sorry, Blair, but Rick, I want to touch on that, and you're absolutely right. Semi-automatics are probably next. The mainstream media is already signaling to the government that they want to hear more about the semi-ban. The announcement that Trudeau and Mendocino, however you pronounce his last name, this afternoon in Vancouver, the media asked, well, what's going on with the SKS? They're pushing for this. They're trying to drive this. Okay, next semi-automatic. What about this gun? What about that gun? And it was funny because the response of the government was they didn't say it outright because they don't want to run on the stores and they don't want people to go out and start buying like crazy, and especially since these guns are non-restricted, so they have no idea how many are in Canada, how many are circulating, and how many are still in stores. So it's funny how they danced around the question, but if you really look into it, you can see, the little hamster wheel going in Mendocino's brain there that's saying, we're going to do it. We just can't say anything now because we made that mistake with the handguns.
Yeah, I believe they're waiting for something else to happen. That's the way the Liberals work. They wait for something to happen. This mass casualty commission is just finishing off, so they throw this handgun freeze in. The Liberals take advantage of tragedies in Canada and around the world. To use that so they can move their agenda forward. And I'm sure whatever happens next, whether it be in Canada, United States, or elsewhere, they're going to come up with some other thing to seize more firearms.
Well, nobody's under any illusions anymore. Okay,
no.
Nobody trusts the Liberals when it comes to firearms. They've totally lost on this issue. The people out there are thinking, well, I'm just a regular middle of the road guy. I'm not particularly extreme one way or the other, on the left or right. I just want to enjoy my firearms. I remember back in the 1990s coming and saying, well, no, I mean, this is reasonable gun control. We don't want to take your guns. We have no plans to do that. And and some people going, well, I guess I trust them at that point, and that was 25 years ago. But today, right now, nobody believes anything they say about this issue. Everyone in Canada knows it's political, whether you agree with their agenda or not. This has nothing to do with public safety. This is about punishing probably the most law-abiding segment of the Canadian politician. Why? Because they don't vote for Liberals anymore.
Exactly. And the chiefs, at the hearings yesterday, some chiefs of police made that comment too. They're chasing down this handgun freeze from law-abiding firearms owners, but they're not chasing the real problem, the real crime, the stolen stolen guns, the guns that are smuggled into Canada. They're not touching that. And the chiefs of police made that comment also. They said, they need to spend more of their resources that way, but they're not. We seem to be the fall guys every time on this stuff.
Well, exactly. And it's been that way for a very, very long time in this country. But the fact of the matter is we have political power now, and we have alternatives. And certainly we're going to continue to working towards replacing this government. And it's going to happen sooner rather than later, the way they're failing so badly. And the fact of the matter is change is coming. We just have to get to that point. And once we have that government in power, then we can start getting back on the road to firearms law reform. So for anybody watching tonight, freaking out, going, oh my God, it's all over. It ain't over by a long shot.
Not if we can help it, not on my watch.
We're definitely not giving up, right? So I want to go back to touching on what Rick, what you're saying with the police. Like, I don't know where this government's coming from. So what they're going to do is they're going to divert. One of my lights just went out. They're going to divert a whole bunch of resources and move it towards an element of, responsible law-abiding firearms owners. And we clearly know that's not the problem. The statistics show us that's not the problem. Meanwhile, the criminals, like, they're spending up, now we're up to $5 billion is the estimates for this buyback. Imagine what they could do with that money, what they could use for that money. Put it into our borders, put it into these task force that go after the criminals, instead of spending it on going to, Bob and Joe's house, picking up their guns and bending the barrels and saying, hey, we solved the problem, because it's clearly not going to work.
You're right. You're 100% right, Jordan. And I truly believe the reason they did a freeze on our handguns instead of another OIC seizure type deal is because it was going to cost billions of dollars, and they just haven't got the money. I'm sure they're thinking about that. Just they stopped the movement of handguns. Now, I'm sure that's in the cards too, is some sort of seizure for handguns. And basically, it is a seizure because when you pass away, they seize your handgun at the end of the day.
What you have to understand is this is a long-term agenda. And frankly, this is not new. I mean, this has been part of the agenda going right back to the beginning of the liberal agenda, back to the 1960s and 1970s. You incrementally impose these laws, and it sets the stage for the next stage of the law. And it may take 20 years, 30 years. I think the original estimates, well, we can achieve this in 30 years. And of course they didn't make it, but we may not get it this time, but we'll get it the next time, because we'll have that framework in place to build on. And they partially have it today with today's Firearms Act, the current Firearms Act that was implemented back in the 1990s. Of course, the long gun registration component of that is gone, so they're having difficulty controlling those guns because there hasn't been registrations associated with most of those guns since 2012. So they certainly have a record. If you owned one, held a registration for it prior to 2012, and you got that letter. But anything after that, they don't know, and that complicates their plans. But if you look at the handgun registry, and a lot of people have said this over the years, look, I mean, this is just a shopping list for future confiscation. And of course, governments and law enforcement agencies have said, no, you're just paranoid. You're just being paranoid. They'd never do that. This is just common sense gun control. Can that statement still be made today? I don't think so. I don't think it can. It's not common sense gun control.
Oh, no, not the common sense gun control, but using the registry as a database to seize firearms, definitely.
Is there any doubt?
Yeah, there's no doubt at all. Sorry.
So
I think not the second there, Blair.
Yeah. No, but so I think what we need to discuss here, for the benefit of everybody watching, is where do we go from here when this government is defeated and when the next government is elected and we are in a position to make firearms law reform? What reforms should we make to address situations like this? Exactly the liberal gun agenda of this government. How do we defeat that under the next government?
That's going to have a lot to do with the next government. Hopefully
Absolutely.
We'll have a pro firearms government. It just that's the thing with the changing of governments. You really never know what you're going to get until they get in power,
or what you ask for.
Yeah. So we have a question here. Can any of this be reversed? Absolutely.
100%.
Absolutely, right. It's not over. It's definitely not over. Is it going to get reversed with the Liberal government in power?
No,
probably not. Is there a chance that they might overturn some of the items in C-21? Yes, but is it really overturning anything? Because they're still. For example, like they're right now they're talking. They might expand on elite shooters in Canada, and then they're saying it's going to be IPSC, and maybe they'll add the cowboy shooters in and a couple other disciplines. What about everybody else that just goes to the range and shoots targets for fun? Just for general practice, right?
Yeah. The NFA will not condone that. There's no reason why. So an IPSC shooter is any different than a shooter that just likes to go down to the range every Sunday and enjoy his firearms. this elite shooter stuff, this Olympic shooter stuff. You know what? I'm gonna probably go against YouTube standards here, but it's bullshit. It really is. All it is the liberals trying to appease small groups of people, to make so not as many people are mad at them. That's my take on that.
Well, this is typical liberal divide and conquer tactics. If we can get support for our efforts here from groups in the community, it'll show that, hey, shooters are on board with this. Hey, that they understand and accept this. We are making provisions for legitimate use of this. We're not trying to destroy sports or culture or anything like that. We're trying to make exemptions for them. And I don't think Canadians are going to buy into that. I don't think the shooting disciplines in Canada are going to buy into that. I think they see the path forward in defeating this government and returning everybody's rights and property. I don't think those divisions are going to happen, because the fact of the matter is, nobody's elite in Canada. We're all the same. It doesn't matter what you do. If you shoot IPSC, IDPA, or if you just like to shoot informally, okay? We all have the same rights and freedoms. So I think that's important to remember, and it's important to assert. You may think, well, I'm an elite IPSC shooter, and I've been doing this for 20 years, and I feel I have a legitimate claim to this. You have the same claim to as every other Canadian has. You're no different than the rest of us, and you need to get on board and join us in fighting this and defeating this Liberal government.
Like I said, the NFA will not condone any of that. There's no elite shooters in Canada.
No.
So there was another question that came up about the OIC challenges that are going to actually be coming to court soon. From what I hear, to answer that question, that's a totally separate issue with the May 1st OIC. Now with the handguns, we're going to have to start. Well, I mean, the lawyers are going to have to look into it and see if there's a way that we can challenge this one, and it's going to be a separate. So. That being said, look how long we've been waiting for the May 1st OIC. They banned it on Friday. Don't expect to hear about a court case on Monday, because it's going to take some time. The courts are backed up. I'm sure now with everything that Trudeau has been doing, from the emergency acts to the commission and whatnot, the courts are going to be absolutely backed up, because from what I hear, there's a whole bunch of groups going after Trudeau and the government because of the Emergencies Act, right? So. We have to get our place in line at this point.
And you know what? We're not going to jump into anything too quick. If anything we do is going to be well thought out, it's going to be well researched for the path we decide to take. We're not in it. We're not in it to get out there first with this stuff. We're in it to make sure we can come up with something successful to get rid of this handgun freeze.
Yeah. Right. No, I mean. It's very disingenuous all around, and I think the only people they're impressing are themselves, okay, and their fellow travelers. Certainly Canadians haven't bought into this. We've seen very much a lack of support for their movement on this issue from Canadians over the last 2 years. I mean, Canadians have had more important things to worry about than nonsense like this, and I think especially the experience of the long gun registry of the 1990s proved that, hey, the direction that the Liberals have pursued in regards to gun control in this country has been wrong-headed and misdirected, has been very, very wasteful, and continues to be. And I think they're going to be finding that out very soon in the next federal election.
Nothing changes, just the names on top. Nothing changes as far as the Liberals go in Canada.
So I just want to post this comment up here from John. My compromised flag flies proud in front of my house every day. Take my guns, Trudeau, never. Yep. Yeah, that's good to see. Let's everybody should be flying their flags.
Yeah, I think that's indicative of Canadian firearms owners today. I mean, and certainly it was back in the 90s, and it is today. The political situation is much different today. I mean, we've got all kinds of political alternatives and opportunities coming up now. So, in our talks with the Conservatives, and we do talk to them on a continuous basis, certainly that party understands that attacking law-abiding firearms owners is not the solution to this country's problems with crime and violence.
Yeah, and what we're seeing now is it's not just firearms owners. There's everyday Canadians getting involved in this, because it goes beyond firearms. This is personal property. This is our property rights, and
That's
there's
right.
a lot of Canadians getting involved in this right now that aren't firearms owners, and I'm glad to see that. And, I've been talking to quite a few people that are, they're Canadians, and they're tired of this, and I'm really, really glad to see that. And I think that should be part of our job, and that part of our listeners out there, to get other people involved besides firearms owners.
I know for a fact that that's the case. I talk to our members every day. I talk to firearms owners every day, and they're always sure to assert that, hey, look, I talk to my family about this. I talk to my friends about this. They're educated. They know the facts about firearms ownership in Canada, and we don't. The only real problem we have here is the attitudes and agendas of the Liberal Party of Canada, and to an extent the other opposition parties. Okay, it's not Canadians that are the problem here. It's politicians. It's politicians with agendas, and frankly grudges. Because don't forget, we defeated a good part of the liberal legislation, the hallmark liberal legislation of the 1990s that was supposed to facilitate exactly what's going on right now, and did not and could not. And I hate to say it, but this is their revenge on the Canadians who stand opposed to them.
You're absolutely right, Blair. You're absolutely right. But I just go ahead, Jordan.
It's everybody's saying, okay, this is Trudeau and this is Marco, but you also have to remember there's a lot of bureaucrats and lawmakers in the background, and these people, I really don't think they're educated on the Firearms Act in a whole, because like all we're and it's I was it Solomon that said it at the SecU meeting, like we're just taking a law and placing it over top of a law and placing it over top of a law, and at the end of the day, like all you've got is a stack of laws. And what's the old saying, like you can't polish a turd, right? Like they designed the Firearms Act back in the day. It's clearly it's dated,
it's antiquated.
And it needs to be fully looked at and revamped. But I mean, not now with the if the Liberals are watching, you guys don't revamp it. Wait till the Conservatives get in. But but that's really what we need to do, and all the stakeholders should be sitting down on this one. Like the Trudeau government, they talk to all the stakeholders that are against guns. Where, like, Blair or Rick, did you guys get invites to the stakeholder meetings?
In regards to this current effort, no. I mean, in
No.
the past, yes. Were we listened to? No, of course we weren't. It was
Right.
it was all for
Yeah.
show,
Yeah.
But, and I understand that everything the Liberal government it does is for show. It's not for a practical or specific purpose. It's virtue signaling. Okay.
I just want to address a comment on there from Zena the Goat. The small groups often pave the way for bigger ones. Think about that before you condemn IPSC. A couple things here. Number one, I'm not condemning IPSC, and the NFA is not condemning IPSC. I'm making the point that all shooters in Canada are equal, and that even how does a young shooter get involved in IPSC and get the proper equipment if this legislation stays in place? It's impossible. IPSC will stay with the group of members that it has now, or whoever they can pick up, but what about the young shooters? And that's what the NFA is concerned about, the younger shooters, the people coming up. My nieces and nephews that are 8 or 9 years old right now. What about them? How are they going to participate in any so-called specialized group in Canada? It's not going to happen. It's basically a brick wall. You're either in or out. So yeah, like I say, I'm not beating up any groups, but I just wanted to make that clear with everybody.
No,
out there.
IPSC shooters are not a problem. I don't think IPSC shooters see themselves as some sort of elite that needs to be protected and served by the legislation. I think they feel the same way as everybody else.
Yeah.
Okay, but understand that this is a deliberate liberal attempt to divide the firearms owners so that some people retain special rights and others, well, you don't have any legitimate claim to this. No, we're all in the same boat here.
Yeah. Just the only recourse for this is to get rid of it at the end of the day, and that's going to be our path. We're gonna pull whatever, we'll use all our resources to make sure that we put an end to this, and that is where we're coming from, and that's a fact.
Exactly, and we everybody understands that. It's not a case of, well, we got to do a court case on this, class action lawsuit on that. Everybody knows what the solution to this is, and that's where I get back to, what about the next government? Because we will be pursuing firearms law reforms to try and fix everything that's happened over the last 7 years of Justin's government. Let's throw it out there for the benefit of our viewers here. What should we do? Let me throw something out here for discussion. I'd love to see comment on this, not only from us on the panel here, but also from people watching. Shall we end the registration of handguns in Canada?
Not everybody at once.
Yeah, don't everybody jump in at once here.
Well, first of all, I mean, it's purported to be there for, everybody knows the story of the registration of handguns in Canada, brought in 1934 to prevent Bolsheviks and other ne'er-do-wells from having access to firearms. Basically used over the years to deny access to various ethnic and political groups, certainly during the Second World War, where Canadians of Japanese descent had their handguns seized and confiscated because they were basically considered enemy aliens. I mean, their citizenship was disenfranchised, their property was confiscated, and that included firearms as well. Basically used as a political football by every government since the end of the Second World War to try and control access to and the number of handguns owned by Canadians for various different reasons. Current times used as a means of, well, we have to keep guns from getting into the wrong hands. Apparently, despite over 80 years of handgun registration in Canada, they still get in the wrong hands because they can be smuggled in, they can be stolen, which is the very smallest part of guns used in crime in Canada. Very rarely are they stolen. Sometimes they are, just like any piece of property can be stolen, but mainly smuggled into Canada, and sometimes the advent of new ways of manufacturing firearms, 3D printing and that sort of thing. So, but does handgun registration serve any purpose for public safety? I mean, really?
No.
It seems to serve a great purpose for identifying what people have and what needs to be confiscated. Okay, so I think what we need to do is find out just what benefit to public safety the registrations of handguns have had over the years, and more specifically today. And maybe it's time to end the registration of handguns and find other ways of keeping firearms, any dangerous weapon, out of the hands of the wrong people.
Right. So I'm going to take a stab at this. The registration, really what it is, it's like putting us on a leash. The government has this tool, so they can say, hey, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And, if you don't follow suit, we'll take your registration away, which means you can no longer have that handgun. It has to be forfeited to the government. When they call these firearms in because they deem them too dangerous, they know you have them. So it's another tool for them to bring back these guns. Like, it is, at the end of the day, with this registration, is this really our property or is it the government's property? And we're just holding on to it, right? Yeah,
and the same thing with classification. It's all classification of firearms is just get rid of firearms by attrition. The 12.3, 12.2, 12.6 licenses are all your firearms are gone the day you die. It's all these little things the government imposes to control us and know what we have in our possession. That's all it is.
And what benefit has it had for public safety? Shouldn't that be demonstrable?
In my opinion, there's no benefit to public safety. They're approaching it in the wrong direction. They're not going after the smugglers, the thieves, the gangbangers. They're going after law-abiding firearms owners that don't commit crimes. There is no benefit to public safety.
Well, you know what that is, Rick? It's easy for them.
That's right.
That's the easy path. right? And they've proven that.
I think these questions need to be asked, and I remember the hearings on Bill C-19, the Act to End Long Gun Registration in Canada. It did come up, and one of the Liberals questioning or interrogating witnesses in those hearings said, "Well, I mean, I guess you suppose that the registration of handguns hasn't had any effect on public safety either." And that witness actually said, "Yeah, you're probably right." So I think that's on the table now, and I think that's something that we as advocacy groups need to pursue in the future.
Yeah,
Okay.
I see KP 762 made a good comment. Kyle made a good comment there. The Trudeau Liberals, with the support of the NDP, are circumventing the law. That's exactly what they're doing. If you support the law, vote Conservative. The only pro-gun party that can win, and that's a fact. Thanks for that, Kyle. We appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I think we need to be talking about this now because we've seen, not just attempts at registration here, not just regulations to do this, that, the other thing. They're actually talking about confiscating firearms and preventing Canadians from enjoying the legitimate use and economic potential of those firearms now through various methods, including confiscation. So, given that that's the case going forward with this issue under a new government, where I firmly believe that firearms legislation will be on the table, what is best for Canada? What serves the interests of public safety while protecting the rights and property of Canadians? And even I don't think there's any room anymore for myths or bluffs or sacred cows. If we have these programs that have been in place for a very long time, have they had any benefits for public safety for Canadians, and are they appropriate today? And I think the actions of this Liberal government call all of that into question.
Yeah. And when those talks come up with a government change, involve firearms owners, involve us. Not a bunch of lawyers and government bureaucrats. Involve us, get our opinion on things, and come up with something that's a lot better than what we have now. And that's been the problem in the past. It's always been the lawyers and the bureaucrats making the laws and making the decisions. The firearm lobby in Canada is strong, and the firearms owners are in Canada. There's 2.2 million or so firearms owners in Canada.
Licensed owners.
Yeah, licensed owners, exactly. And we can be a big voice, but we need to voice ourselves. We just can't. Right. We can't sit in the weeds and watch this stuff pass us by.
Well, I know for a fact that we do that now, and we have done that for many years. We're a very loud voice. We've been proven right on so many things in regards to this issue. The failure of long gun registration, the failure of other components of Bill C-68, that really was the turning point. And certainly today, where it's accepted fact, unless you're a dyed-in-the-wool supporter of civil disarmament or member of the Liberal Party, nobody thinks this is going to do anything. Everybody knows it's not going to do anything. It's just an attack on a group that the Liberal Party does not like and feels that it can get away with.
The thing with that, the Liberals also know that. They know that themselves. But you know what? It's a big diversion for them.
You know what? I think they can see the shift coming because, they keep repeating that. Trudeau's favors from coast to coast to coast. They have the support, and he has to hammer. He has to hammer it in 5 or 6 times in a speech. We have the support. Canadians support us. Canadians support us. But I don't know where they're finding the support because I'm talking to even non-firearms owners, and they're like, "Okay, this is silly. Why are they doing this to you guys? Find me somebody that's in support because I'd be really interested. Everybody I've talked to, and I've talked to people that I know they don't like guns, and yet they're still like, yeah, this makes no sense, right? Again, he has to hammer it home. I've got support. The numbers show this. Well, I don't know where I don't know where they're getting these numbers. I'm interested. Yeah.
He doesn't even know the process of acquiring a firearm. So
If anybody listening has got those numbers, please email them to me. I want to see where he's getting this.
They have their pet posters, and you know, their focus groups and stuff like that. But I mean, unfortunately, that's politics in Canada today. I mean, if there's no support for your government, create it.
What's their mailing list? Like their
And-
friends? Like you know,
It's the classic. You know what? We screwed up this week, and let's have a roundtable on Monday, and we'll spin this on to firearms owners. That's the way the Liberals work.
yeah, we're scapegoats. We're always scapegoats.
Yeah,
We've been scapegoats. Like
And
it's
and it's widely recognized in Canada today. I mean, politically. I mean, anybody who looks at politics in Canada, well, why are the Liberals doing this now? Well, they need a scapegoat, and they're the scapegoats. So there it is, right?
another interesting thing. You know, like they talked about our economy and how we're possibly heading into a recession in the next maybe second quarter or third quarter of next year, right?
Yep.
So you know, of course, what does Trudeau do? Doubles down on or triples down on carbon tax. You know, everything's going up. All costs are going up. The banks are upping their interest rate. So what's the smart thing to lead Canada out of this? Let's spend $5 billion buying a bunch of guns back from firearms owners that have proven they are less likely to commit a crime, and you know all they want to do is be left alone. Let's spend that $5 billion and let's let our economy tank.
I'm seeing a comment here from Philip, where is it here? Let's see, from Philip, based on feelings, not facts, and the media is silent. If you're looking at mainstream media in this country, you're looking at the wrong media. Mainstream media in
100%.
Canada was bought and paid for by the Liberal Party of Canada, and will communicate their message and their message alone. I mean, there is no investigative journalism. There is no questioning of Liberal agenda, certainly on firearms. They are there to advance that agenda. And, you know, it's a shame that we had to come to that conclusion that, hey, you know, the mainstream media, should we talk to the mainstream media about this issue? And we do. And we have in the past to a very great degree whenever we have been given the opportunity. But what good has it done us? You know, we have put our message out there. We've put the facts out there, and they've been ignored by a mainstream media that is hell bent on just communicating the government's agenda and maybe their own.
Yeah, there's no free thought in the mainstream media in Canada anymore. Not ever since the Liberals gave them whatever it was, $66 million. That, you know, it just, well, you know, it was going on before that, but that just put the icing on the cake. There's absolutely no free thought. The mainstream media does whatever the Liberals tell them to do in Canada. People need to know that.
I sometimes wonder who's running the country, mainstream media or the government.
Well, the good thing is there's alternative media now. We don't have to rely on them anymore.
Yeah.
The truth is out there if you look at it, if you look for it. And more Canadians are doing that every day. So the power that mainstream media had in the past is certainly gone. I mean, it is legacy. It's dinosaur media. It's legacy media. Yeah. It has a very, very small viewership of Canadians at this point. Canadians are finding alternative sources, which has been fantastic for this issue. I mean, when a lot of this got started back in the 1990s, a lot of the electronic social media was in its infancy, but it really, really helped us organize and fight back. And today, it's a powerhouse. We're a powerhouse. And we're going to defeat all these initiatives. I think the Liberals are going to be very, very disappointed at the results of what they started.
And you know what? And the Liberals are scared of. They're scared of right wing media in Canada. You know, that's why they're coming up with Bill C-11, I believe it is, and you know, other ways to stifle right wing media. You know, we work with right wing media all the time. You know, and it's a pleasure to work with them because the facts get out there. You know, if we do an interview with mainstream media, and Blair can attest to this, by the end of the interview, they'll twist it around and get the exact opposite thought out there. That's what happens every time we talk to mainstream media.
And I don't even know if you want to call it right wing media. It's alternative media.
Alternative media, yeah, good call, Blair. Yeah,
I mean, you know, some of it is right of center. We do have a right of center people in this country. We have a conservative. We certainly have a conservative movement in this country, and that is entirely legitimate and much needed. But I think mainstream media and the government use this boogeyman of right wing media and alt right and all this sort of stuff to marginalize certainly issues like this one. to try to give Canadians who may be on the fence or may not understand laws, legislation, and the politics of it, the idea that we're a bunch of militia nuts that need to be cracked down on. Which is certainly not the case. No, I mean, we're just regular Canadians. They're Canadians of all stripes own firearms. And I know a lot of our membership are members of the Liberal Party, the NDP. They don't like what's going on. They certainly understand the facts. They need to communicate that to their chosen political parties if this agenda is ever going to be stopped, and if the politics of this issue in Canada are ever going to be changed. Because we've done that with Conservatives. Prior to 1993, the Conservative Party at the time, the Progressive Conservatives, were not our friends. They legislated against us, and they would continue to do so if they continued as a political party. There was a political revolution with the reform movement, political paradigm change in 2004 with the new Conservative Party, and a government was the result of that, which did legislate firearms law reform, the first firearms law reforms in modern Canadian political history. That was the effect of firearms owners and other people who believed in rights and freedoms, getting involved in that movement, advancing those concepts, rights, freedoms, property, and culture, firearms culture of Canadians. And we have a very, very, very strong culture as a result of that today, including support on the opposition party, the one probably at this point the biggest political party in Canada, and a very, very positive future once we defeat the Trudeau Liberals.
So IPSC, yes, it does. Right now, it does. There might be a change, but right now, it does. Also, a couple questions coming in through the different feeds and the different channels that we're streaming to. If you have already purchased and had a transfer started prior to this morning, before 12:01, they've already stated that yes, it's business as usual. That process will go through. You will be granted that firearm. Anything after 12:01. Sorry, you missed it. Yep. There was also a couple other people saying, "Hey, like I pre-ordered and I did this while they were waiting for their PAL to come in." The government's not having it. They're not going to accept that. So
no, if you don't have a transfer reference number, you're not going to get one.
Like a bill of sale is not going to do it. They had to start the initial transfer in order for it to be valid. Funny thing is, like I'm watching as they're presenting this new handgun freeze, and as I'm watching, I get an email from the CFP saying that, hey, one of your transfers has been completed. You can now go pick it up. Like. I was like, oh, this is kind of funny, right?
Yeah, I think I got 3 or 4 from Blair actually yesterday. So yeah, mine came through. Mine came through yesterday. So
great timing, yeah.
Yeah, great timing. It just. But anyway, at the end of the day, there is as far as we're concerned, there's no middle ground with this. It's all or nothing for us. There's no reason why any Canadian shouldn't be able to enjoy his personal property when and where he wants to enjoy it. It keeps going. Does this include Olympic shooters, IPSC, IDPA, cowboy action? At the end of the day, we truly believe that every Canadian should have the right to enjoy their personal property.
Yeah, exactly. And if it does, if at some point they make those exemptions, hey, listen, they're not doing it because they recognize the legitimacy of your sport or your pursuit or something like that. They are doing that to divide the community, to say, see, these people agree with us. We've given them an exemption because we see them as legitimate. These other people not. So. I think most Canadian shooters, including IPSC competitors, IDPA, all the shooting sports understand that. Okay, so I don't see this earning the Liberals any support from the firearms community, certainly, and I think IPSC and IDPA and all the other shooters out there who maybe receive exemptions in some manner or form as this goes forward, I think they understand that, hey, this is a Liberal effort to divide us, to create divisions, to give the impression that, hey, the legitimate shooters are on board with this, even though that rabble out there is not. I don't think it's going to work for the Liberals, and I think they're going to see blowback from those shooters as well.
Yeah, let's all of us get into this fight and move in the same direction. And they're intentionally trying to split us up. And Blair made some good comments here. They're intentionally trying to split us up by giving us little tidbits. You know what? We don't want to be split up. We need to all get together and move in a direction to get rid of this.
It was the same back during C-68, and we saw those tactics as well. But I mean, at that time, firearms community was resolute. There was no trucker trade. There was no negotiating for exemptions. Everybody was resolute that we stand united in opposition to this, and we will defeat it. Due to the politics of time, it took us a long time to defeat it, but we eventually did, and we're going to do it again.
Yep.
Yeah, I just want to add in, I find it weird that they added airsoft into Bill C-21. I almost think they added that in on purpose to divert from what actually is going on for firearms. Everybody's concentrating on, the whole airsoft community. Like, you think they would do that in a separate bill because anything under 500 feet per second, it's not a firearm. It's not a firearm. Why they would add it? It's almost like they purposely added it in there. So, everybody would or certain people would divert their attention to that and forget about all the other bad legislation that's in this bill. And it's almost like it was a tactic that they used. Like, why? I'm still puzzled by that. Yeah, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but
yeah, during the meeting yesterday too, that one inspector from British Columbia made the comment that some airsoft guns can be readily converted into firearms, which is a biggest crock I've ever heard. Anybody that owns an airsoft gun or has had one apart can see that there's no way that happened. There's no carrier bolt assembly. There's no trigger group. There's not even a barrel with a chamber in it. So it's all liberal rhetoric is all it is.
But when you're wearing a uniform and you got the hat with the gold egg on the brim. Yeah. You don't have to be an expert.
it might be possible, but you got to think these things are plastic or very, very soft metal. So the first time you pull that trigger, the whole thing is going to go kaboom, right? They're not designed to handle that kind of pressure.
Is that the biggest source of crime and violence in Canada today? No, it doesn't even rate.
Yeah.
Come on.
You imagine the headlines, Canada's out of control. They're running around with airsoft guns.
It doesn't even rate. I mean, every little part of this, they tried to do the same thing with straw purchasing of firearms, which is a minute part of the firearms used in criminal offenses in Canada. But they focus on that. And you know why? Because it's big in the States, and we inevitably follow any little narrative, and the narrative that the Liberals have adopted for Canada today is what goes on in the States is going to happen here, and we can use it to advance our agenda.
Yeah, anything. They don't tell you that a lot of those guns in the States aren't registered to anybody to start with. Why would somebody go through the whole process of getting an RPAL, do the test, go out and legally buy a firearm and then sell it to somebody and jeopardize any firearms he owns and jail time? Why? It doesn't make any sense.
Hey, there's always going to be somebody dumb enough or desperate enough to do that. Okay. But it is a very, very small part of the issue. And the Liberals have tried to blow that up into something that's an inherent danger. I mean, it's happening all over the place all the time. And we know it's not. The statistics don't even support it. But again, when you're pursuing something like that, you don't need it because you just put out a flashy thing that diverts attention from your failures as a government. And you've got the cameras and the media, and you try to move along your agenda. So none of this has any basis in reality, which is a good thing, because reality is based on statistics, and statistics don't support any of this, and it will be corrected in the future, much to the chagrin of the Liberals once they're out of power.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Liberals don't look at valid statistics; they make their own up.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
so
you can skew statistics any way you want to make them look too, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Hey, 27% of all people know that.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, listen, we're going on almost 50 minutes. Why don't we call it there for the night?
Yeah.
And we'll regroup, and hopefully when we come back next talking on this topic, we'll have some great news that we're maybe launching another counter to this. Once our lawyers have kind of gone through everything and figured stuff out, and we'll give a talk on that one.
Stay tuned, folks. We're moving ahead.
For everybody out there, we need your support. We're, like I say, we're going at this tooth and nail. So, if you can support us in any way you can, we sure appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. All right. Until next time, guys.
Thanks for listening to this episode of NFA Talk. Like and follow the NFA on social media and sign up to become a member.